Cool. We got a nice little thing to talk about today, man. Shuhei. How many of you guys know him? Shuhei was with PlayStation for like 30 plus years. He's with that company for a long time, and he was one of the lead people during the PlayStation 4 generation. In my opinion, the PlayStation 4 generation is their best generation. That's just to me. I know a lot of people like the PlayStation 2, and I do to a huge degree, but in my personal opinion, that PlayStation 4 hit. It hit hard. Maybe they both the same. I don't know. But we got an interview with Greg Miller. You guys know who Greg Miller is over there at Kind of Funny. I'll leave the link to the entire interview. It's a very lengthy interview. It's about 2 hours long. I watched it, and there's a couple things that I want to talk about. He goes into Bloodborne. He goes into, what's going on right now with Herman, with these multiplayer things that I've mentioned multiple times on this channel. And then he goes into like how Shuhei feels about what Xbox is doing as well. There's a lot of good tidbits that comes into this, and I think we need let's just jump straight into it. I think that's the best case scenario that we can do. So let's jump in here. So here's the first thing I want to talk about, and it's essentially them talking about first person, making single player, first party titles, and whether or not that's going to be like a continuous push from here going forward. You guys know how I feel about this. I don't think you have to worry about it now, but I was a little concerned with, let's say, a couple of these, games as a service models worked. I was concerned that PlayStation would see the money that those type of games generated, and then they would heavily push for the foreseeable future more of these type of content, because that generates more money. Now, obviously, there's no denying that for the most part, as of right now, PlayStation hasn't had a huge success when it comes to games as a service. Helldivers did very well. But besides that, we got to see a couple more of these other games. But I do want to talk about this, and then we'll go over my opinions on this after this.
Yeah, for you, with your eyes on the entire industry, did it make sense to you?
Oh, yeah. So for
let's talk about live service games.
I was managing this budget, right, annual budget. And I was responsible to allocate resources to, money to what kind of games to make. If, the company was considering that way, probably wouldn't have made sense to stop making great, like another God of War or whatever, like a single player game, and put all the money into these service games. However, what they did after I moved on and Herman took over is company and Sony added a lot more resources. They are like, they didn't, I don't think they said to Herman that stop making these single player games. They said, oh yeah, these games are great, just continue doing it, and we give you additional resource to work on these, service games and try it, right?
Yeah.
And I'm sure they knew it's risky. It's not the chance of a game successful in this hugely competitive genre will be small. However, company knowing that risk gave Herman resource and chance and try it. I think that.
So that's the first thing. Essentially, Shuhei is saying, look, when I was there, they wasn't really giving the money like that, but once Herman took over, they allowed him more resources. I think Herman was just better with, those kind of conversations, in my opinion. You see stuff like Fortnite. People are going after the Fortnite bags. In my personal thought process, and maybe you guys can disagree in the comment section like you guys always love doing, Fortnite's one of the most influential games in the industry for negative and positive reasons. I will say Fortnite was the biggest game used to push for cross progression, cross play games, but it's also a hill because now everyone wants that kind of money. It's like GTA. Fortnite's not the only game like that, but these games have been highly sought for, and everyone is willing to take a loss. What's spending $100 million, $200 million on this game, $100 million on this game, $50 million on this game, when you could potentially make billions from it. because that's what they're seeing. They're looking at what they could potentially gain, not necessarily what they're losing. And I think that is what Shuhei is seeing on here. Look, like I said in the past, in my personal opinion, you don't really see Fortnite making the type of games that they made before that. When they try to make the single player build type of game, once they saw what trajectory they could go and what direction they needed to go, they went 100% into it. And to me, in my personal opinion, PlayStation did push a lot of studios to make these type of games. And then they canceled a bunch of them as well. So I don't think it was solely, I do think they were working on single player games, but I don't think it was like a priority on that, because I feel like there would be more games ready right now. And I think a lot of these studios were maybe working on 1 to 2 games, one of them being a turn service games and one of them being a single player game. And one probably got more priority over the other. And that's probably what you're seeing in terms of stuff like that. I don't think that, they were just going to stop making these type of games, but I wouldn't be surprised if a couple of them did blow up. Let's put more money behind these type of ideals because we can actually generate more money in the long run. We all know when it comes to Xbox, they are making a lot of, key components when it comes to this. For instance, they are doing the everywhere's an Xbox, everything's an Xbox, because they want to really go that they're going to where the consumer is. Kind of like what they've done with the Windows thing. They're going to where the consumers are, and that's fine for a lot of industries, but it's different for this industry. So, Greg Miller actually asked you, how do you feel about this particular type of place thing, and do you think it's going to work? Let's pop over here and see what Shu said.
Those headphones are an Xbox. It's very different than what y'all had been doing at PlayStation. What do you think of it?
Well, I have to be very careful, right?
I'm sure he's got to be careful.
Are so passionate, right?
There's so few.
Because here's the thing, you don't know where Shu's going to go. Shu probably isn't going to show up at Xbox, but he's not going to burn bridges on Kind of Funny Gamecast either. He might end up at Xbox eventually. If it's one of the studios, maybe someone to help relate relations between them and the Asian culture, because there is cultural differences between the Western Hemisphere and the Eastern Hemisphere, and he can help bridge that. So obviously, he's probably not going to go that direction, but he's not going to burn those connections either.
No, really, it's just Snowbike Mike and Ryan McCaffrey. I think you're going to be okay. No, I'm kidding.
Well, yeah. Well, with all respect, they, in my mind, Xbox teams have done, many times like some pioneering things, something ahead of everyone. So that's always great, and it's for any industry having competition is always healthy. For sure. Because we have to.
And he's not right.
So
he's not wrong. Every industry needs competition because it's going to force the actual people to innovate on their own merits and what they're doing to make a better product, because they have to be a better product to compete in a highly competitive industry. I will say that's one of the biggest issues that PlayStation's had, in my personal opinion, is they haven't had that competition, because Nintendo's doing their own thing, which is doing extremely well. In some ways, you can argue it's doing better than PlayStation, but in terms of how the PlayStation is given to the general consumer, they are definitely not in any way, shape, or form competition. Like Xbox is trying their own thing. They're trying to do their own kind of Switch thing where they're, we're going to be more accessible to everyone. We're going to be easier on the cloud. That's their perspective, and that's where they're going with it.
Yeah, Nintendo does something different, right?
Yes.
So it's great to have Nintendo for different reasons. They train young children how to use controllers and play games and become video game fans and send fans over to us, like
And until he said that, I never like took that into consideration. Nintendo does do that. They do train a lot of younger audiences into being able to play with controller and being in the gaming industry to a degree where I'm sure that they have a lot of influencers and people that stream played Nintendo when they were younger. And, once you actually get to the point, you probably go to a PC, because a lot of people have a Switch. The sales indicate that. A lot of people have Switch as a second console in their house, regardless if they have a PlayStation there or a PC or an Xbox. A lot of people have a Switch because of that first party lineup. I mean, you see right there, the Zelda, Link. Well, this is Link. That's Zelda. You see the Pokemon person. You see Cloud, Bowser. I'm assuming that's Link. Mario right here. So yeah.
That's
PlayStation
the
or
minor
Xbox.
leagues. You guys are the major leagues of
No,
PlayStation.
no. The generation.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Xbox and PlayStation was always head to head, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
they did so well is Xbox 360, and we did well on other generations.
Yeah.
Right there makes me feel like, and this is just me, maybe you guys can put it in the comment section below, makes me feel like he is literally admitting right there that PlayStation admits that Xbox had the better 360 generation, that their product was the better one, because he didn't say, oh, we did pretty good in that generation. When he said we did better in other generations, he literally just skipped the generation. I mean, we'll go back and look, but listen.
So we did well on other generations.
We did well on other generations. He completely took them out of that generation. So that's just my opinion. That's wordsmith to me. Maybe you guys put in the comment section if you disagree. I think that is essentially at least Shu saying that the Xbox, in terms of the competition between PlayStation and Xbox, they lost that one in the end.
Yeah.
So it's always great
Maybe in his mind.
to have competition, and because of Xbox, we had to be honest and humble, and be always alerted, and sometimes get inspiration from what they do. So yeah. So I think it's great rival to have.
Do you like this?
Look at that, man. Shu trying not to answer that question. He's not trying to answer that question. Greg is going to push him a little bit more. Let's get to it.
Idea of it does as PlayStation consoles. This is the whole thing. We believe in generations. Do you see?
And what's funny is like Greg Miller saying that we believe in generations. There's like a funny quote last gen where they're saying that they believe in the generations when it comes to the PlayStation 5, and it was so long before we started seeing like exclusive PlayStation 5 games.
Their play right now of being everywhere, being a box, being an app, being this, being on a phone, being the cloud. Like, do you look at that and go, I believe that'll work? Or do you think that that's a thing to take, but the safe spot is doing consoles?
Oh, yeah. Well, in my mind, clearly, that's what they've been saying, right? They've been saying for years.
Of course.
And this new campaign is a different way of them saying the same thing.
And I agree. We've been saying that for a while on this channel, on Iron Lord's podcast. This has been Microsoft's message from the start. But in my case, I always thought that they would have some form of exclusivities on their hardware, because at the end of the day, they are trying to sell a product. They're trying to sell hardware. Regardless if we think or don't think that that's their, that's not their priority or their priority or just something they don't care about, they're still selling it and they're still marketing it.
Because Microsoft is a software company, and now, server-based service company, I think it's natural for their like a DNA to think about providing services, through cloud or to any hardware or platform, like they made the Microsoft Office available on Macintosh, right?
Yeah.
Or the mobile, or I think that's personally, I think that's.
And that's what we were talking about earlier when I said that their new plan in other industries that they're involved in is going where the actual consumer is and not making the consumer come to you. In my personal opinion, that doesn't translate well to the gaming industry for sure, because I think it's harder to sell product without like exclusive reasons for someone to come to you. But I get it. We're not going to go too much into that, but let's listen.
Same kind of thinking.
Okay. And you're okay with it? You like it?
Look how extra Greg's being. He's just trying to get a solid answer for him. I respect it.
I don't know.
Do you like it or not like it? You say, do you like it?
what I respect is they have enough relationship between them, because I don't feel most people would push any executives, any ex-executives this hard on a matter. This is like the third time he's rephrased the question.
Or not like it.
Well, if I like it or not, I like what they are doing.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
I stop there.
Okay. And
So as you can see there, he don't even want to, comment too much on the matter. I think he likes the concept. He just don't know if it's going to perform. And I think that's the case for most people. I think we all like the concept of what Microsoft's doing. It's just a matter of if it's going to work in a modern audience. It's a matter if they're going to be able to captivate on this from years to years down the line, especially from a hardware perspective. Are we going to get a hardware perspective that makes sense and that keeps the hardware, not necessarily front and center, but at least a pillar of the Xbox ecosystem? That's always been a question. One of the things that a lot of people have an issue with is Bloodborne. Bloodborne is one of those games that everyone, including myself, I beat Bloodborne and the expansion. A lot of people want Bloodborne 2, or maybe a remake of Bloodborne. Hell, just like an unlocked 60 frames rate of Bloodborne. It's still 30 frames on the platform. And this is the time where Greg was like, I'm going to get you. We're going to get some more info on Bloodborne. Maybe not necessarily, official info. We're going to hear something. So let's jump back over here.
know you love. SaneU.com says, will we ever see Bloodborne again?
Oh, yeah, you'd won, right?
We want,
Yeah, so Bloodborne is one of the most popular asks on my Twitter X channel. People like, other popular things, luckily is one of my games, Apex Escape, whether sequel or Legend of Dragoon, whether remake or something. But Bloodborne has always been the most asked thing. And the people wonder why we haven't really done anything, like even like update, or
a
remake.
remaster. Yeah.
Or
That's the biggest thing. And, regardless what Shu's about to say, I do feel like from software to PlayStation, you deserve your fans at least a update to the old PS4 version for for a 60 frames mode, a performance mode. That's just me. I feel like you should do right by your fan base at least to that.
remaster, should be easy, right?
Yeah, super easy. Hit the button.
Known for doing
Hit the
so
button.
many remasters, right?
Hit the button.
People get frustrated.
Screw 'em.
Well, I have only my personal theory
Okay.
to that situation. I left first party, so I don't know what's going on.
No one's
but my
saying-
theory,
And that there is him protecting himself. This is just Shu's opinion on why Bloodborne isn't a thing when it comes to a sequel or some kind of rehashed product. Giving us more info. This is just us.
my theory is, because I remember, Miyazaki-san really loved Bloodborne, what he created. And so I think he is interested, but he's so successful and he's so busy. So he cannot do himself, but he doesn't want anyone else to touch it. So that's my theory.
Okay.
And the PlayStation team respect his wish. So that's my guess, right? Theory.
So essentially, what he's saying is like, look, the person who created it, he's busy. He's on to newer things. Front Software been popping. They've been popping. He's on to newer things, and we respect his opinion. He wants to be the person in charge of that product. He wants to be the person doing it. I personally, I co-sign that. We've seen scenarios where games have been passed off to other studios and they're a shell of their former self. So I can understand for that. But like I said, I will push back on the Shu thing where it's like, even though PlayStation respects it, I believe that you can at least have a conversation with the man that's like, look, you don't want to make a sequel. You don't want to make a re-release. That's fine. Will you at least give us the thumbs up to make a performance mode? Or you do a performance mode, or we outsource that to someone else. That's my personal opinion on the matter. Look, Shu demands the respect from. Yeah, I don't care if you're a hardcore Xbox person. This dude's been in the industry. This dude has straight up bled for this industry. He's put so much time. Got to respect him. You got to respect him. And, wherever you go, Shu, I will always listen to what you have to say because you did do a lot for the PlayStation brand for multiple decades. And I think everyone needs to be on some respect Shuhei Yoshida because he's that dude. He really helped the PlayStation be in the situation they're at now. So anyway, that's it for the interview. Now there is more. Obviously, there's like 2 hours and like 12 minutes of conversation between Greg and Shu. Shout out to Greg for having that kind of relationship to get that kind of time. As someone that has interviewed, executives for companies or ex-executives from companies, it's hard to get that much time from any of these people. And you could tell that the relationship between them is strong enough to get this type of time from them. But, all that's in the comment section below. Tell me what you guys think about it, especially the Xbox thing. It's interesting that Shu didn't really want to comment too much on his personal feelings on it. It's like I said, it could be a variety of reasons that he doesn't want to burn any bridges, upset anyone. Maybe it's from a PlayStation perspective, an Xbox perspective. People don't want to upset anyone in the industry, especially when you're in the industry to the degree that Shu is. But in my personal opinion, Shu is big enough where even if he said something where he didn't feel like this would work, if he felt like it would work, it wouldn't make PlayStation or Xbox mad. Might make them a little frustrated, but they'd get over it. But tell me in the comment section below why you guys feel he didn't really give too much of his opinion on that. What about the Bloodborne thing? What about the games as a service? There is so much good stuff. This is a good gym interview. And you guys know how I am. I've made a video about good old Greg Miller. I might disagree some of his takes in the industry, but I do respect the content he puts out. But anyway, if you guys enjoyed the video, definitely hit that like button. It's always appreciated. You can always sub to the channel. We make weekly content over here. I will be streaming. Hopefully Donkey Kong Returns when that game comes out for the Switch. All that's in the description below. And you guys have a good day. And until next time, this is Gaming Addict. I'm out of here. Peace. Man, this is a long video. But there's a lot to talk about. I don't know how well this video is going to do. It might be the worst video I've done in a long time. But we'll see.